Welcome to this introductory lesson on the Janet Goodrich method of natural vision improvement. Before we begin, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about what natural vision improvement is. We like to take what we call a whole person approach to eyesight improvement, rather than the opposite, which might be considered somewhat of a mechanical approach. In the early stages of medical interest in visual difficulties, there was a kind of theory formulated which we now find hinders us a little bit in our ideas and attitudes towards the visual system. This theory, of course, you'll be quite familiar with, where we discuss the eye like it is a camera. So this was a great analogy in the beginning when we wanted to understand that a camera was something that could pick up images in the same way that our visual system does, but that's about where the usefulness of this concept ended. The eyes are an integral part of both our physical body, our emotional responses, and our mental awareness, and therefore perception. To look at the eyes as a mechanical sort of object, separated from all of our systems of this living human body, is to really put the eyesight and our visual system into a box which really doesn't allow us a lot of options in terms of working with it as a growing, flexible, living system, which it is. So we take a whole person approach, meaning that when we look at improving vision, we look, of course, at what is happening physically with the eyesight and with the visual system right now on a day-to-day basis. However, we also look beyond that. We look into the causes of refractive error. Why did your vision begin to blur in the first place? And look at resolving those causes so that the work that we do with your eyes now can actually change fairly quickly. It can be effective on a number of different levels, and it can be a permanent change. Very often it's the case that if you deal only with the symptoms of a situation and do not address the cause, of course, once that symptom management slackens off in the slightest, the body will often revert back to the problematic condition. Of course, you can see the importance of dealing with causes when we have any sort of crisis of health or function or well-being with our bodies. We are looking at many different factors, again, that also include nutrition, include your habits around dealing with stress, not only on a mental and emotional level, but of course about how you're using your eyes every day. Our understanding of the visual system and the habits that we have around it will play an important role in your vision improvement program. We come next to the question of how can eyesight improve? And this leads us to ask also, why does vision blur, and how can natural vision improvement actually make a difference? As I mentioned, there are causal factors. As you learn more and more of the program and the principles involved, you will begin to see how they may apply to you in your personal life, in your individual circumstances, and begin to understand how you can take control over what's happening with your eyesight, and also with resolving any hidden or past stresses that may have led to the formation of your visual blur. These causal factors can have occurred at any time in your life. They may be something very simple and small that happened as a child, that for some reason you were unable to resolve satisfactorily at that time, and has left a kind of level of emotional stress or tension that reflexes itself into the eye muscles and does not allow them to move and be flexible and change as we want them to do for good visual acuity. These kind of stresses that may have occurred early in life also inform the way that we perceive others' behavior towards us, that we perceive the events in our lives. In effect, they help to create certain behaviors and attitudes that we have. These behaviors and attitudes, these mental and emotional stresses, will also create a day-to-day tension within you and within your visual system that I am sure when you begin to observe these factors, you will notice for yourself do have an effect on how well you see at any given moment. Because the visual system and the eyes are a flexible living system, it's quite natural that sometimes your vision will be worse and sometimes it will be better. An important part of the program is self-awareness about these factors, and you'll begin to notice the things in your life that have that kind of impact on your vision, for better or for worse. When we're taking this whole person approach to eyesight, we're looking at dealing with the causes, addressing and resolving these particular habits around emotional stress or tension, either from early, middle or late life. We will also be doing specific activities to help relax and bring back the flexibility and movement to the eye muscles and to the visual system as a whole. It's very important to understand the relationship between the eyes and the brain, and to get this functioning as efficiently and joyfully as possible in order that the information received by the eyes is really processed at its optimum level by the visual brain. We also look at teaching you the different factors in your daily life that are affecting your vision regularly. This will again include nutrition and how this affects your vision for better or for worse. Little things that we can do each day to remove the stress either from the visual system or from our emotional state that are really helpful to maintain ongoing well-being and vitality. All in all, the important factor that underlies every different principle, activity and technique that you would learn doing the Natural Vision Improvement Program is the knowledge that you and your awareness of your eyesight and its needs allow you to take the power and the control over your eyesight and its quality for yourself. So there's many different parts of the program that will be focusing on helping you to gain this kind of self-awareness, having the knowledge to know what to do under various circumstances for your eyes and your visual system, and knowing for yourself how to assess your eyesight, know what's happening for you on a regular basis, and really be able to have a long-term goal for your eyesight that includes high-quality vision for the rest of your life. One question that I am frequently asked, of course, is what do optometrists think about natural vision improvement? Because it's been around for such a long time now, there is an increasing number of optometrists and other medical professionals who have experienced for themselves and also in their patients and clients how effective natural vision improvement can be. And these are the optometrists and ophthalmologists that we prefer to our students to go to in order to obtain reduced prescription transition glasses to be used as their vision improves. There are some optometrists who still have some skepticism about natural vision improvement, and that's probably very natural considering that this is really what has been taught at university for many, many years, that the eyesight can worsen, but that it cannot improve. Of course, our experience has demonstrated very clearly that eyesight can change in both directions, and given the appropriate support, the visual system is absolutely happy, keen and ecstatic to move itself towards good vision rather than poor vision. I feel that when we're learning about a physical system with a goal to improve it and be empowered and knowledgeable about our own bodies, it's very important to get some basic physical facts about the parts of the body that we're working with. So the eyeball is an absolutely beautiful and fascinating structure which is intimately intertwined with your amazing and incredible human brain. I'm going to describe the structures of the eyeball from the front, moving towards the back, and then we'll talk a little bit about the brain as well. As you'll be aware, of course, the eyeball is a spherical shape. Part of the internal structures begin first with the cornea, the clear tissue at the front of the eyeball. Then we have the iris, which surrounds the pupil, the opening which allows the light to fall inside the eyeball. If we follow the path of light coming in through the pupil, first we pass through the large area of liquid at the center of the eyeball, and the light information falls on the back wall of the inside of the eyeball on a large grouping of cells known as the retina. In fact, not just a grouping, but layers upon layers of cells packed in together, two different types of retinal cells named rods and cones. The rods are the retinal cells that help us to see in dim light and really only perceive shades of grey. The cone cells are the ones that provide us with incredible, beautiful colour, detail and super sharp, clear vision. These are clustered together in a wonderful, packed-in group directly behind the pupil on a very important part of the retina called the fovea centralis. A little way away from this particular structure is the optic nerve. Intertwined intimately with the layer of retinal cells, of course, it sends the signals up this nerve channel to the brain, and it is here in the brain at the back of the head that these electrical light signals are interpreted into amazing visual images. That is what we live and function with every moment of every day that our eyes are open. Now, coming back to the sphere of the eyeball itself, the things that interest us the most at this fundamental level are the muscles. And it's amazing to know that there are 7 muscles in and around the eyeball that create all of the different functions that the eyeball is able to do for us. One of these muscles is a circular muscle called the ciliary muscle. It's a circle around the lens, and that's the muscle that helps the lens to change shape in order to focus clearly at near distances. And there are 6 large muscles external to the eyeball itself. These are muscles that can often get very, very tense. The ciliary muscle can as well, of course, and lose their flexibility and their movement. And there's some incredibly enjoyable and relaxing activities that you can learn how to do in order to reverse this situation. One more very important point that you may not be aware of, even if you are very familiar with all of those basic structures of the eyeball, is a concept, a physical fact of our visual system called saccadic movement, or as Janet Goodrich always called it, the saccadic dance. Saccadic movement is a tiny vibrational movement that our eyeballs are making automatically all the time. What do these little vibrational movements do? It's amazing. They actually, so to speak, scoop the light out of the air in order to get it into the pupil and onto the retina. This saccadic movement is incredibly fast, and that's why I call it vibrational. It's like the eyes are vibrating with a tiny, lively little movement, and each little saccadic jump draws, attracts, and takes light information out of the atmosphere. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to get any more than the tiniest amount of light into this little tiny aperture that is our pupil. The saccadic movement, however, brings huge amounts of light into the eyeball, onto the retinal cells, where they are excited and stimulated by this information and send that information up to the brain. So saccadic movement is absolutely vital to clear eyesight. And when the eye muscles tense, the visual system goes into staring, with all of the tensions and different levels of suppression that are happening when you start staring, the saccadic movement actually slows down. What happens when there is less light information coming into the eyeball? The vision gets blurrier, so we want more information in, which means we need faster saccadic movement, which means the visual system needs the nurturing and the support on a regular basis in order to help the saccadic movement increase. And it is absolutely possible to do so.